1. What is the primary purpose of the Azure Data Engineer Associate DP-203 certification? To validate skills in managing Azure virtual machines and networking. To demonstrate expertise in designing and implementing data solutions using Azure Data Services. C. To certify proficiency in Azure security and compliance management. D. To assess knowledge of Azure AI and machine learning services. 2. Which adult learning principle is most effectively applied when teaching Azure Data Factory pipeline development? A. Providing theoretical lectures without hands-on practice. B. Using real-world data integration scenarios with immediate application opportunities. C. Focusing exclusively on memorization of service names. D. Teaching all Azure services simultaneously without specialization. 3. In the context of curriculum development for DP-203 preparation, which approach ensures comprehensive coverage? A. Random topic selection based on instructor preference. B. Structured progression from data storage fundamentals to advanced analytics and security. C. Focusing only on the most difficult topics. D. Teaching only Azure Synapse Analytics without other services. 4. What is the primary focus of the DP-203 examination? A. Azure infrastructure and virtual machine management. B. Data ingestion, transformation, storage, and security in Azure. C. Azure DevOps and CI/CD pipeline creation. D. Azure cost management and billing optimization. 5. According to Bloom's taxonomy, which cognitive level is primarily tested in DP-203 scenario-based questions? A. Remembering service names only. B. Understanding basic definitions. C. Applying knowledge to design and troubleshoot data solutions. Creating entirely new Azure services. 6. Which evaluation method is most effective for assessing a candidate's readiness for the DP-203 exam? A. Multiple choice practice tests that mirror actual exam scenarios. B. Essay writing about Azure services. C. Verbal presentations without technical demonstrations. D. Self-assessment questionnaires only. 7. What is the recommended minimum hands-on experience before attempting the DP-203 exam? A. No experience required, theoretical knowledge is sufficient. B. At least 6 to 12 months of hands-on experience with Azure Data Services. C. 5 years of experience with on-premises databases only. D. Experience with AWS but not Azure. 8. Which Azure service is central to the DP-203 exam for data warehouse implementation? A. Azure Virtual Machines. B. Azure Synapse Analytics, formerly SQL Data Warehouse. C. Azure App Service. D. Azure Kubernetes Service. 9. When mentoring DP-203 candidates, which approach best addresses knowledge gaps? A. Identifying weak areas through practice assessments and providing targeted learning resources. B. Repeating the same general content regardless of individual needs. Avoiding hands-on labs to save time. D. Focusing only on theory without practical application. 10. What is the typical format of DP-203 exam questions? A. Essay questions only. B. Multiple choice, case studies, and scenario-based questions. C. Oral examination with live coding. D. Group discussion format. 11. Which principle of andragogy is most relevant when teaching experienced IT professionals preparing for DP-203? A. Treating learners as dependent on instructor decisions. B. Recognizing their experience and using problem-centered learning approaches. C. Avoiding real-world examples to prevent confusion. D. Focusing on delayed application of knowledge. 12. What is the passing score for the DP-203 exam? A. B. 700 out of 1,000 scaled score. C. D. 850 out of 1,000 scaled score. 13. Which communication technique is most effective when explaining complex Azure data architecture concepts? A. Using technical jargon without explanation. B. Visual diagrams combined with real-world use cases and step-by-step walkthroughs. C. Verbal explanations only without visual aids. D. Assuming all learners have the same background knowledge. 14. In curriculum design for DP-203, which sequence represents the most logical learning progression? A. Security, then storage, then ingestion, then transformation. B. Storage fundamentals, ingestion, transformation, monitoring, and security. C. Starting with the most complex topics first. D. Random order based on alphabetical service names. 15. What is the validity period of the Azure Data Engineer Associate certification? A. Lifetime certification with no renewal required. B. 1 year from the date of passing. C. 2 years with annual renewal requirements. D. 3 years with no maintenance required. 16. Which Azure service is primarily used for real-time stream processing in DP-203? A. Azure Blob Storage. B. Azure Stream Analytics. C. Azure Virtual Network. DNS? 17. According to Kirkpatrick's evaluation model, at which level would measuring actual job performance improvements after DP-203 certification fall? A. Level 1 reaction. B. Level 2 learning. Level 3 behavior. D. Level 4 results. 18. What is the recommended study approach for the DP-203 exam? A. Memorization of documentation without practice. B. Combination of Microsoft Learn modules, hands-on labs, and practice exams. C. Reading only third-party books without using Azure. D. Watching videos without practical implementation. 19. Which regulatory compliance aspect is covered in the DP-203 exam? A. Azure data governance, security, and compliance features like Azure Purview. B. Only HIPAA regulations. C. European Union employment law. D. U.S. tax regulations. When developing a mentoring program for DP-203 candidates, which structure is most effective? A. One-time session covering all topics superficially. B. Structured program with regular check-ins, hands-on practice, and progressive skill building. C. Self-study only without mentor interaction. D. Group study without individual feedback. 21. Which Azure service is used for orchestrating and automating data movement and transformation? A. B. Azure Data Factory. C. Azure Load Balancer. D. Azure Firewall. 22. What type of questions should be prioritized in formative assessments during DP-203 preparation? A. Questions that only test memorization. B. Scenario-based questions that require analysis and application of multiple concepts. C. True-false questions only. D. Questions unrelated to the exam objectives. 23. Which learning resource is officially provided by Microsoft for DP-203 preparation? A. Only third-party video courses. B. Microsoft Learn learning paths and documentation. C. Wikipedia articles. D. Social media posts only. 24. What is the primary difference between teaching DP-203 concepts to beginners versus experienced data professionals? A. No difference in approach needed. B. Beginners need foundational concepts while experienced professionals need advanced patterns and optimization. C. Experienced professionals should skip all fundamentals. D. Beginners should start with the most complex topics. 25. Which Azure service provides unified analytics for big data and data warehousing? Azure Virtual WAN. B. Azure Synapse Analytics. C. Azure Bastion. D. Azure Front Door. 26. In the context of adult learning, why is immediate feedback important during DP-203 preparation? A. Feedback is unnecessary for adult learners. B. Immediate feedback allows learners to correct misconceptions and reinforce correct understanding. C. Feedback should be delayed by several weeks. D. Only negative feedback should be provided. 27. What is the recommended approach for hands-on practice in DP-203 preparation? A. Reading documentation without implementation. B. Using Azure free tier and sandbox environments to build actual data solutions. C. Watching others code without practicing. D. Memorizing PowerShell commands without execution. 28. Which communication model is most effective for explaining data flow in Azure data pipelines? A. Abstract verbal descriptions only. B. Visual process flow diagrams with step-by-step annotations and actual examples. C. Mathematical equations exclusively. D. Unstructured random explanations. 29. What Azure service is used for NoSQL database solutions in DP-203? A. Azure Traffic Manager. DB. Azure Policy. D. Azure Advisor 30. Which assessment principle ensures that DP-203 practice exams accurately reflect actual exam difficulty? A. Making practice exams significantly easier than real exams. B. Aligning practice exam content, format, and difficulty with actual exam specifications. C. Including only theoretical questions without scenarios. D. Randomizing questions without relevance to exam objectives. 31. What is the role of Azure Databricks in the DP-203 exam scope? A. Managing Azure subscriptions. B. Apache Spark-based analytics and big data processing. C. Email service management. D. Domain name registration. 32. Which mentoring technique is most effective for helping candidates overcome DP-203 exam anxiety? A. Increasing pressure and criticism. B. Building confidence through progressive mastery, mock exams, and positive reinforcement. C. Ignoring emotional aspects completely. D. Discouraging candidates from attempting the exam.